1369. Visit us on our web at McPhersonAuction.com.
We're bringing Music City to you. Get ready for Nashville Night on March 22nd at the Box Elder Event Center. The concert kicks off at 7 p.m. with the talented Jessica Luby, followed by the high-energy Velvet Rodeo. Put on your boots and get ready to dance. Plus, test your skills on the mechanical bull.
Hold on tight, honey. You got it.
And enjoy Nashville hot chicken sandwiches.
Yeehaw!
Tickets are just $20 in advance or $25 at the door. Get your tickets now at thebox.live. Don't miss out on the country event of the year.
Who is it?
You're Prince Charming.
Oh, hi.
Oh, hi.
Hi.
I've been calling to you, Rapunzel. Rapunzel, let down your golden hair for days.
I didn't hear you. The witch got the tower new replacement windows from Renewal by Andersen.
Didn't you wonder where I was?
Not really. My new windows are very energy efficient, keeping my tower very comfortable, and they have greatly reduced the noise levels.
What noise? You live in a forest.
Well, a certain needy prince is constantly yelling my name.
Do you not love me anymore?
Oh, quit being so dramatic.
Dramatic? Moi?
Yes, and Renewal by Andersen exclusively offers gorgeous ensemble security doors, safe and durable.
Do they?
You should get them for the castle along with new Acclaim replacement windows.
If I do, will you marry me?
Let's not rush it. And Prince Charming, get the windows for you, not me.
Oh, wait. Windows. For me?
Does your castle need new windows? Discover Acclaim windows and ensemble entry doors, custom fit and exclusive to Renewal by Andersen. Free consultations. Visit RBARapidCity.com.
KIMM Rapid City and K294BT Rapid City, the Black Hills Sports Station, 106.7 FM and 1150 AM, Fox Sports Rapid City.
The NFL New Year is next week, and teams trying to make moves to get under the cap are also locking up players, and that includes the Raiders, who are doing, well, a little bit of both. Today, they made defensive end Max Crosby the highest-paid non-quarterback in the NFL, signing him to a 3-year deal worth $106.5 million. He gets $91 million guaranteed. The Raiders also signed free agent guard Alex Kappa, but are releasing quarterback Gardner Minshew. News just in from South Florida as the NFL Network reports Dolphins defensive end Bradley Chubb has reworked his contract to stay in Miami in 2025. Zach Vaughn is staying in Philadelphia as the Super Bowl champion linebacker has agreed to a 3-year deal worth $51 million with the Eagles. While the Seahawks gave wide receiver DK Metcalf permission to seek a trade elsewhere, Seattle also released wide receiver Tyler Lockett. Kansas City Chiefs traded guard Joe Thuney to the Bears today. Celtics without Jason Tatum, Drew Holiday, and Kristaps Porzingis tonight.
It's time for South Dakota's Sports Talk Show. This is the Nate Brown Show, featuring live callers, great interviews, and thought-provoking sports talk. From the biggest national names to the hottest stories across South Dakota. Welcome to the Nate Brown Show. Here's your host, Nate Brown.
All right, are we ready? It's Wednesday, and it's always a great day in South Dakota. Here we are, back and ready. South Dakota Sports Talk Show live on Fox Sports Radio. The Nate Brown Show is on. You can find us on X, follow the show, watch us live at Nate Brown Show. So if you're on your phone, you've got us on X, follow the show and watch us live at Nate Brown Show. One more place, YouTube. You've got to subscribe to the channel. It's free. It's all good. YouTube channel, The Nate Brown Show. Every show live, the archive shows. If you missed anybody this week, we got you covered. We've been hitting a lot of stuff from high school to the Summit League to the pros. Hit the Nate Brown Show YouTube channel, The Nate Brown Show on YouTube. We're out of the gate. South Dakota Sports Talk Show looks good. A great guest lineup tonight. Regional, local, national South Dakota Sports Talk Show packed and a lot of good stuff to hit. Some news out of Rapid City. I'm going to share the good stuff I've been hearing about possible new facility in Rapid City. I'll get to all that good stuff. Let's get going. The Nate Brown Show guest lineup tonight. Who's coming on? It's brought to you by Forever Lawn of South Dakota, ready to install on both sides of the state. So you just need to Google Forever Lawn in South Dakota. If you've thought about this for your house, for sports fields, for playgrounds, golf greens, they have the best lineup of artificial grass. Great company, South Dakota based. I've been to their headquarters. This artificial grass is really nice stuff. Landscape grass, playground grass, golf greens, canine grass. Just Google Forever Lawn in South Dakota and get started for spring and summer. They'll put you on their list. Remember, Forever Lawn, the best lineup of artificial grass in the state, ready to go on each side of the state. Forever Lawn of South Dakota, the Forever Lawn guest lineup tonight. Zach Borg is joining us live. Summit League tournament getting underway. Zach Borg covering it. Dakota News Now. Sports anchor live from Sioux Falls. Zach Borg, he made his picks. I saw this. I was going to invite Zach on tonight anyway. He made his picks for the Summit League, women's side and men's side. A little surprise from Borg on the men's side. A little surprise. We'll get to him. Zach Borg coming up. Mike Golick Jr. is on tonight. Great national college football and NFL analyst. His show is Gojo and Golick. Mike Golick Jr. talking NFL and more tonight. Keith Smith is in talking hoops. His show is Front Office Show. Covers college and the NBA. Big NBA guy. And I've got Keith tonight because there's a high school basketball story that I want to touch on. He's from Orlando. And there's this elite high school basketball program that just lost their coach. How much money did this other school have to pay this guy? This is a high school coach, leaves Orlando, goes to Ohio. It made national headlines today. We'll get into that story. Interesting one. Keith Smith on from Orlando. And Greg Bell tonight from Seattle. Seahawks, what are they doing? What are the Seahawks doing? Busting up the team. They not going to sign Tyler Lockett and pay him his money, so they released Tyler Lockett, wide receiver, and then DK Metcalf asking to be traded. So DK Metcalf wants out of there. Greg Bell covering that scene for the Seahawks. He's the Seahawks beat writer, thenewstribune.com, and he's on tap. So good stuff across the board tonight. We hopefully cover what you want to hear. Remember, you can be a part of the conversation. Join us at 605-720-1067. 605-720-1067. That's the Pizza Ranch studio hotline into the Nate Brown Show. And also on the text line, 605-720-1067. That's the Barron's Wilson text line for you. And you can text us directly, 605-720-1067. Your answers to the question of the day and all the fun stuff we will have today. Okay, let me get into a couple of things here. One of them is going to be really fun. I had some great memories today as I was going through the show prep and trying to figure out this scenario. But let me start with this. I'm just gonna throw it out there. Summit League tournament getting underway. Okay, so this is one of those great events in South Dakota every year, and I think it's one of the greatest events when it comes to South Dakota sports. And I know I love state basketball tournaments. I've been trying to rank my number one sports events. Okay, my number one sports events, and it's hard for me to determine. State basketball, for me, I haven't missed it. Have I missed state basketball in, 25 years here? I don't think I've missed a tournament. Whether it's AA, I haven't went to the Bs. I haven't checked out the Bs, but AA, I haven't missed a tournament. So state basketball is huge. State football's outstanding. I went to numerous state football championships. But on the college level, Sioux Falls Premier Center, the Denny has something special going with the Summit League basketball tournament. The place gets rocking. The place gets popping. And if you're going to see, can USD men get into the semis? They're going to be taking on Omaha. How's this all going to play out? So if you can get USD, SDSU popping in the semis, they're on different sides of the bracket. If you can get those games, that place is going to be rocking. And I've always wondered about this. What does the rest of the conference think when the Summit League tournament is in Sioux Falls? Do you think it's a major home court advantage? This is something I was thinking about tonight because there's been discussions that, hey, this is the last year, Summit League, you got to figure out what you're going to do. And is the Summit League ever going to think about, maybe we don't want to be in Sioux Falls? Because, as I said, if you get the right matchups and you get USD, SDSU, you get it going, this place is rocking. I mean, this is outstanding atmosphere. And I'm telling you, it might be one of the better conference basketball atmospheres out there because you look across some of these mid-major conferences, they don't have massive crowds like this. Sometimes you're looking at some of these mid-majors and they get to the championship game to go to the dance. Yeah, but we're talking major crowds like coming in on the women's side and the men's side semifinal time, especially you get the two South Dakota schools. So let me ask, I'm not just going to say for SDSU because I know everybody gets fired up on this. Everybody gets mad. Well, what about the Yotes? Well, the Jacks are favored in women's big time. Number 1 seed. We had Coach AJ on the show last night. So USD women, they'd have to pull off some upsets. They got a great player in Grace Larkin, so she's going to be fun to watch. However, if you get a scenario where USD and SDSU, let's say they're playing semifinal night, is that a massive home court advantage having it in the Denny, having it in Sioux Falls? It's not the Jacks home floor. I get it. It's not the Sanford Coyote Center. I understand. But it is right here, and the crowd is heavy Jacks. And then pretty heavy USD if they're making a run. So does the crowd at the Premier Center this week offer a huge home court advantage? My first question of the day as we get started on the Nate Brown Show, just want to get your take on it. The Premier Center hosting the Summit League again, and we'll see how long this stays at the Premier Center moving forward. I think it's one of those where some cities might be interested in it. They might say, hey, we want to get this thing. Sioux Falls has done a great job with it. Nobody's complained. I've talked to opposing teams and play-by-play guys. They've all said the Summit League with operations being in Sioux Falls, I think it all makes a lot of sense. I don't know if you take this tournament out of Sioux Falls, but is it too big of a home court advantage? But you South Dakota fans probably say, too big a one. It works. Is it a huge advantage? I really want to know, because that's the argument that some people say is, well, that's why the Jacks could win every year, and let alone the talent or the team. So how big of an advantage is it? South Dakota universities. I'll throw USD and SDSU in there. You tell me. 605-720-1067. 78% of the audience voting early here. We got 73 votes. 73 votes, and 78% of those votes say the Sioux Falls Premier Center's a huge advantage. A huge advantage. 22% of you say it's not a very big edge in hoops. Not a very big edge in hoops. So I will point this out. Football, you've got an advantage when you're at home. Crowd noise, that thing. I think that's a real thing. Momentum, crowd noise, crowd hype, and the whole thing in basketball, I think it's a little thing. I honestly believe it's a little thing. Now, being close to home and having those home fans there, does that give the team some juice, some energy? Probably. So it's not like it's Oral Roberts and you get a small section of fans. So I'm thinking there's some juice there. I do think that matters for players, but they are playing for a title here, so I don't know if they got to be motivated by home fans or not. So I'm going to tell you, football's one thing, home field advantage. Home field advantage, one thing in the Missouri Valley. We've seen that, or in the FCS playoffs. How about home court advantage? Does the Denny provide home court advantage for USD and SDSU? 78% of you say it's huge advantage. Listener text coming in. According to Kello, they're saying Kansas City wants to take the Summit League now. Man, it'll be interesting. I don't know if you'd want to. I mean, you go to a place like Kansas City, there's not a huge fan base there. I know, UMKC, I understand, but there's not a big fan base. There's passion up here for women's basketball and men's basketball. So I think the Summit League tournament is a success in Sioux Falls. They would have to be that would be a tough sell to get them to pull out of Sioux Falls, I think. Whether you're going to whine about the advantage, they've had it for a long time now, and it's a big advantage for USD and SDSU. Listener text, there is an advantage for the two South Dakota schools. I'm not going to say there's not an advantage, but how big of an advantage? Huge advantage or not that huge of an edge in hoops? I'm going to say it's a moderate advantage. See how easy I make this tonight? I'm not saying it's a massive. It's a moderate advantage. Is that why teams win? Rarely. Crowd support's great. The atmosphere's great. Is that why teams in South Dakota win? Not going to say. I'm not going to say that. Listener text. We got another Rapid City bid coming in here. We got people across South Dakota saying Rapid City should look at putting the Summit League in the Summit Arena. Listener text just came in. How about putting the Summit at the Summit Arena? Seems like it would be a little more neutral as well. Oh, there would be a lot of Jacks fans and Yotes fans here too. I think so. I think there would be quite a few. A little more neutral. I think you're right on that. One more, 605-720-1067 on the text line. How big of an advantage for the Jacks and Yotes with the Summit League tournament at the Denny? How big of an advantage? Listener text, well, if they do move the Summit League, they will never get the turnout like they get in Sioux Falls. Yeah, there's no doubt. Now, if I'm running the tournament, that's part of the deal. That's a major part of the deal. I need a successful tournament. I want some revenue. Want this thing to be popping like it is. So we'll see where this thing goes. Summit League starting up. Always a great event. One of the better events, I think, every year in South Dakota sports. One of the better events across the board. Huge crowds when SDSU and USD are in this thing late. And I kind of expect that might be the case again. How big of an advantage is it? You let me know. 76% of you say it's a huge advantage. Now, people continue to vote on the Nate Brown Show question of the day. Okay, let's have a fun one here. Let's have a fun one. This is something I've been thinking about this afternoon since I was going to put this into the show. So I got a buddy of mine, a media guy who I met a long time ago when we started our careers. So I'm an old guy. We started our careers at the George Michael Sports Machine. The George Michael Sports Machine was based in Washington, D.C., WRC NBC. Okay? So I started working production assistant at the George Michael Sports Machine, and I met this guy named Clinton Yates. He was also a production assistant. We charted baseball games to bring it behind the scenes. We did baseball and Wimbledon and all of that stuff. We were just the low guys on the totem pole. However, we wanted careers in sports media and use that to go certain places. And Clinton Yates has been on this show, which I've loved over the years, Around the Horn. So you've seen this show on ESPN, Around the Horn, you know, when you maybe didn't have to work. Back in the day when I was like in college, I watched Around the Horn. And it was a fun show. It was a great show. Max Kellerman started the host, and then Tony Reale. So my buddy from way back in the day at the George Michael Sports Machine, Clinton Yates, I've had him on the show. We'll do it again. We'll get him on periodically. He's been in L.A. He's been on ESPN L.A. He's been an Around the Horn panelist, and now he's on ESPN Radio. So Clinton Yates was talking about Around the Horn because what has happened, Around the Horn is ending. It's being taken off TV. So Around the Horn's being taken off TV. If you haven't seen this, 23-year run for Around the Horn on ESPN. The writers and sports guys that are on that show and the point system, if you haven't watched it. If you're a sports fan, you've watched Around the Horn, right? Please. So I thought, I liked Around the Horn. It was in my top 10 at least. I used to watch Around the Horn quite a bit. Not much happened in the afternoon when I used to do morning radio. So I used to do a morning show. Then I'd have afternoons free. Do a little golf when, I had some free time. A little golf, a little Around the Horn in the afternoon. So I think the show was good. Some people say, I think the show was good. 23-year run on TV, that's a long run. Now it's ending in May. So with Around the Horn ending in May, I just started thinking about all of these great sports TV shows. The legendary sports TV shows. Which is the best legendary sports TV show? I was thinking about that this afternoon. Around the Horn's ending its run in May, 23 years. It's not one of my top 5. I'm not putting it top 5, but I do have some top legendary sports TV shows, and I want to know your pick. Best legendary sports TV show. And some of them are still on. I am going to say this. Some of these shows probably are still on, but they're not the same. Like, where does SportsCenter land for you? SportsCenter now is nothing what it used to be. Dan Patrick, Kenny Mayne, you know these guys. So Stuart Scott, SportsCenter is a shell of itself, but it's still going. I get it. Our habits have changed as a culture. We don't need highlights now to wait for them. We can watch them right on our phone. So what legendary sports TV show is the best of all time. I'm going to go through them, and you tell me, 605-720-1067 if you want to be a part of the poll. What gets your vote for best legendary sports TV show? I'm not picking SportsCenter. I think it's an all-timer. SportsCenter's an all-timer because I went through the hosts and the anchors. These guys were the real deal. You couldn't get much better than Dan Patrick back in the day. Bob Lee. I mean, come on. So these guys were outstanding. SportsCenter is great, but there's one show that tops it for me. You tell me, 605-720-1067. I'm going to ask Mike Golick Jr. his take. Around the Horn, not in my top 5, but there's a couple of shows that are out there that make my top 5. One of them still on, still pretty strong. And I'm going to throw this out to you. 605-720-1067. Best legendary sports TV show. Now, TV show of all time. SportsCenter's in my top 3, no question. You have to put the legendary SportsCenter, not now, but the legendary SportsCenter, which it was appointment TV. But for me, one show still beats it, and I've got it. You tell me. We come back with Mike Golick Jr. His show is Gojo and Golick. What's his take? On the way.
This is the Nate Brown Show.
Want to improve your putting? Master your chip shots? Golf Greens by Foreverlawn is the ultimate synthetic turf to improve your short game. For the committed golfer to the recreational player, we create custom golf greens to make your home or business the premier practice and entertainment destination. Call 605-831-9026 or Google Foreverlawn in South Dakota. With dealerships on both sides of the state, we're ready to help you shave strokes off your golf game. Foreverlawn in South Dakota.
How do you make a buffet day even better? Make it a play day. The Pizza Ranch and Fun Zone Arcade is your place for good food and good times. Won the big game? Make it a play day. Aced your test? Make it a play day. Just need to get out of the house? Make it a play day. The Pizza Ranch and Fun Zone Arcade has all your favorites and all kinds of fun. So bring your family, bring your friends, bring your team. For good food and good times, make it a buffet day and a play day at the Pizza Ranch and Fun Zone Arcade.
Win a brand new car when you play at Tin Lizzie Gaming Resort this month. We've got a 2024 Chevy Trax from Queen City Motors, and it's ready to go to the lucky winner of our Easy Street Grand Prize drawing. Getting entered to win is so easy. We'll give you one free entry every day you come in and play with your clubhouse card. Then get an additional entry for every 100 points you earn. The drawing will be held March 29th, so get in today and start earning entries to win a brand new Chevy Trax. It's all happening at Tin Lizzie Gaming Resort, located on historic Main Street in Deadwood.
Whether you run the race, make the catch, cast a line, pitch a tent, or just look good doing it, Shields Rapid City has your gear. From athletic clothing from your favorite team, cold weather gear to keep you warm, to the best camping selection this side of the Black Hills, and the most stylish and functional women's outerwear and footwear, Shields has the widest selection of the best brands in the business. So when you're ready to get out, get in the game, or get going, get to Shields. Shields, we're right there with you at Rushmore Crossing in Rapid City.
Here's your Fox Sports Rapid City forecast. A winter weather advisory begins at noon tomorrow and continues until 5 a.m. Friday morning. Lows level off around 25. Tonight, under cloudy skies, northwesterly winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Chance of snow tomorrow. High temperatures reach up to 33. Overcast. 3 to 5 inches of snow tomorrow through tomorrow night. That's your forecast on the Black Hills Sports Station, Fox Sports Rapid City. Right now, 43.
We all know life's busy, and if you get sick, you can get behind pretty quick. That's where Black Hills Urgent Care comes in. No appointments needed, no long waits, just fast, affordable care to get you feeling better quicker. Black Hills Urgent Care has 2 locations in Rapid City on Haynes Avenue and Mountain View Road. You can simply check in online at bhucare.com. That's with the letter U, bhucare.com. When you need care, see the team at Black Hills Urgent Care, the faster way to get better.
Get away from it all in the great outdoors for lasting family memories with a new or pre-owned RV from Dakota Discount RV. We make your RV experience fun and easy by providing you with a quality recreational vehicle, competitive pricing, and professional sales and service. Our large inventory of fifth-wheelers, travel trailers, toy haulers, and live-in horse trailers allows us to save our customers thousands of dollars compared to most dealers. Stop by and see us at Dakota Discount RV, 3330 East Mall Drive across from Cabela's and on JB Road, Blackhawk.
Live callers, big-time interviews, and breaking sports news. This is South Dakota's sports talk show, The Nate Brown.
Welcome back in. The Nate Brown Show is on Fox Sports Radio, South Dakota Sports Talk Show. All of our guests tonight appear on the Pizza Ranch hotline. Pizza Ranch studio hotline, powered by the Pizza Ranch, 3809 East 10th Street, Sioux Falls, also in Brandon, and 2 locations in Rapid City, home of everyone's favorite buffet, your locally owned and operated Pizza Ranch. Question of the day, what's the best legendary sports TV show? I have a buddy started way back in the day on the George Michael Sports Machine with me, Clinton Yates. And he's been on Around the Horn the past 8 years, and Around the Horn calling it quits in May. And that's not a top 5 show. It's a top 10 show for me. I've watched it a lot. So what's the best legendary sports TV show? Our question of the day. I'm going to ask Mike Golick Jr. that. I want to know his rate. He's from a different generation than me. I mean, Mike's younger than me, okay? Mike Golick Jr. is on the Nate Brown Show tonight. His show is Gojo and Golick. Solid show. Mike, thanks for coming on. How are you?
I'm doing well. How you doing, Nate?
Doing good. Does a show pop into your mind? Legendary sports TV show of all time?
Ooh, I mean, I guess it depends. You know, I grew up, to your point, in a different generation. But, you know, listen, I mean, my dad was on one of the, legendary sports talk radio shows that by the end was certainly a TV show there. I would say for me, though, the one that stuck out so much and informed so much of what I wanted to be as a broadcaster really was Sports Nation on ESPN. When you think back to Colin Cowherd, Michelle Beadle, Marcellus Wiley, later on Max Kellerman filling into that role as well, and then a litany of other people, but it was really a show that embraced the way that sports could be talked about as something more akin to sports talk radio. It was fun. It was irreverent. There was a lot of great bits built into it. So I grew up watching that one a lot and always really appreciating, and then getting to be a part of that one the way that it informed how I kind of go about this.
Sports Nation, there's one for the record books. Okay. By the way, what do you think of the debate-style shows that have just taken off? They're on every channel, every time slot. Your show, Gojo and Golick's, not that. You do interviews, you do some fun debates. What do you think of the debate style? It's on everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, and so it clearly must work for a fair amount of people, and they must like it. It's not necessarily always my cup of tea, although, I do appreciate when people can acquit themselves well, when people can build an argument really well and talk about it like that. And I think as much as anything, I've always said I'm drawn to passion. I don't care what you're talking about as long as it seems like you're really passionate about it. And listen, sometimes that can be manufactured on these shows, but in general, if someone believes enough in something to state their case like that, then generally I don't have a problem with it.
Mike Golick Jr. on tonight. All right, Gojo and Golick is his show. Find him on Twitter at Mike Golick Jr. Let's go to the NFL. I want your read on some of these deals. Max Crosby gets a huge deal, $91.5 million guaranteed. 3 years, $106 million with the Raiders. Raiders couldn't let him go. What'd you think of that deal? That's the highest paid now, non-QB.
Yeah, makes sense. It's exactly what he was in line for, a guy who, in addition to being highly productive, we've heard over and over again, just never comes off the field for the Raiders. I mean, you will talk about a guy who, the best ability being availability, that's always him. And so I think from that standpoint, deserving production-wise, like we said, second to none. And for the Raiders, really one of the few guys that you can plant your flag on as a franchise. Now, I saw Diana Rossini report that There were points where the negotiation broke down. Other teams were closely monitoring this. And so it's now going to put even more onus on the Las Vegas Raiders to go out here and make this a competitive team, because one thing about Max Crosby, he does not pull punches in terms of what he expects from this organization. Not here to be a part of a rebuild, not here to be a part of grooming some young quarterback. He wants to win and win now.
Max Crosby, huge deal today. Mike Golic Jr. on tonight. So DK Metcalf, I just saw this today, requesting a trade. So these guys now are requesting trades. Myles Garrett wants to get out of Cleveland. DK Metcalf wants to get out of Seattle. What do we think of players? You haven't seen that much in the NFL, requesting trades now if they essentially don't want to finish out their contract.
Yeah, I think this has been the offseason where over and over again I've seen the headline, been given permission to seek a trade or requested a trade, because there's the other side of that. There have been organizations like the Los Angeles Rams who have said that about a guy in Cooper Kupp. Look at Joe Thuney just getting dealt by the Kansas City Chiefs, guys that were under contract, loyal, probably enjoyed where they are, and were shown the door. So that cuts both ways, and a lot of these players looking at their current situation and coming to the end of deals where, in DK Metcalf's case, he's young. I think he's still 27 or 28 years old, coming up on the end of his deal, and believes he's in line for a payday that I'm sure this indicates behind the scenes Seattle might not be willing to give them. So I completely understand guys wanting to capitalize, and I think especially guys at a position like wide receiver this offseason, where there's not a ton of compelling wide receiver free agents since T. Higgins didn't get to the open market, and the draft class certainly isn't chock full of young talent, and so it puts a premium on a guy like DK Metcalf for a lot of these wide receiver needy teams to maybe go fishing.
How good do you think DK Metcalf is? Should my Denver Broncos take a look and, pay DK Metcalf?
Yeah, I think if you are Denver, New England, even the Los Angeles Chargers, all those teams should be kicking the can on DK Metcalf, because I use the basketball term, he's bucket getter. Like a receiver that big and physical. Think what A.J. Brown was doing for the Eagles all through this run, a couple of Ole Miss wideouts. To be able to go and be a singular man coverage beater, DK showed us, hey, that three-cone concern coming out of college was anything but. He's a really well-rounded, all-around receiver. Occasionally the drop things pop up, but in general, he represents a really compelling number one option or potential number one option for a team like Denver, like Los Angeles, like New England. And so, yeah, I absolutely think you have to look and see, because right now, again, you've got a bunch of teams with needs at that position with young quarterbacks, especially for Denver and for New England, that you're trying to give a ready-made go-to option. And big receivers, kind of like a cousin of tight end. We always say, hey, the tight end's the best security blanket, best friend for a young quarterback. I would say a big-bodied wide receiver is similar vein.
Mike Golic Jr. joining us tonight. Gojo and Golic is the show. Watch it. Find him on Twitter at Mike Golic Jr. He's here on the Nate Brown Show. So Sam Darnold and the Vikings, they're reportedly working on a deal. Do you think the Vikings are how are they handling this, Mike, from the outside? Vikings fans, a lot of them don't want Sam back. 2 bad games to finish out the year after a great season. They don't want him. What do you think the Vikings should do?
I think Kevin O'Connell deserves some benefit of the doubt, and so if they see value in bringing Sam Darnold back, what I'd imagine is happening is they're trying to figure out Sam's appetite for taking a shorter-term contract, one that, hey, might pay him a good amount of money in the first couple of years, but then gives them the opportunity to get out of that if J.J. McCarthy makes the kind of progress they believe he's capable of. To me, that's what this all comes down to. What in the building do they believe now, going into year 2, coming off injury, is J.J. McCarthy still capable of? Because I saw Dan Orlovsky tweeted this the other day, courtesy of my buddy Paul Hembekides over at ESPN. No quarterback who's thrown 35 touchdown passes has ever started the following season with a different team. It's unprecedented, the level of production that Sam Darnold had last year, and the conversation we're having right now. We know it was unexpected. We know the last 2 games didn't look great, but I do think if they can bring him back on a more team-friendly deal, something a little more short-term, I do think they can thread the needle.
Let's go to the Chiefs. Do you think that Joe Thuney deal is a big deal for the Chiefs to lose him? Because, again, he's older. They didn't want to pay him a bunch more. Bears get a rental, at least for now. Is that a big loss for the Chiefs?
Yeah, huge. Joe Thuney is as steady as they come. We just celebrated the retirement of a Hall of Fame guard in Zach Martin with the Dallas Cowboys, whose hallmark was consistency. And I think Joe Thuney was cut from a similar cloth. A beautiful technician, a guy who really went out of his way, went above and beyond this year, playing left tackle for you in a bunch of critical games, including through the postseason, but was as steady a heartbeat in the middle of that offensive line as you could have ever asked for. And so in an offseason where offensive line is already a priority for the Kansas City Chiefs, maybe more so at tackle than guard, you're getting ready to shift some of that money you've been paying to Joe Thuney over to Trey Smith, who you franchise tagged. But that's still a big loss. And while Andy Heck's a great offensive line coach, Andy Reid and this organization have shown the ability to reorg and develop at that position well, it's still more change in an offseason where you're probably looking for stability at that position if you're Kansas City.
One more, Mike Golic Jr. Let's look at the draft next month. If you had your pick, and I know, QB's different than a Travis Hunter, but what would you do if you're the Titans, if you have the number one pick? Let's say they stay there. What do you do if you're the Titans?
If I'm the Titans, I'm trying to sign a veteran quarterback this offseason and then taking the best available or seeing if I can get a team like the Giants to trade up and get more capital. Try and come away with an Abdul Carter or a Travis Hunter. See if you can move back to 3 and pick up a little bit more assets for next year because you got a lot of holes to fill, especially offensively. And I do think that while both of these quarterbacks are going to probably go in the top 5, top 10 range of this draft, they're not exactly what I look as franchise savers unless they're in the right situation. Think Bo Nix and the Denver Broncos. And so I do think you've got to be really honest with yourself about your situation. And I don't know if Tennessee is the kind of organization right now that's ready to take in a rookie quarterback and build the kind of good habits that allow them to succeed.
Do you think Travis Hunter is going to be a real deal NFL corner or wide receiver?
I think he is going to excel at whatever he wants to. And if that is one or both, I think that's going to be the case. The guy is one of the most unique talents I've ever watched. He's got such a knack for both sides, but particularly the ball skills, the movement skills at cornerback are so rare to have that fluid an athlete. Going backwards and doing the things defensive backs have to do against the best athletes in the world is a tall task. It's why we're so focused on all the mobility drills, flipping your hips at the combine, and Travis has made that look so easy for so long against high-level competition. I think you can put him over there because that position requires a little more continuity, have the packages for him on offense where, again, as long as he's got the ball in his hands, good things are going to happen, and that's a great problem for a staff to have to figure out where and how you're going to insert that puzzle piece all across the board.
Find him at Gojo and Golic. New show's out. Gojo and Golic. Mike Golic Jr. on tonight. Always appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Nate.
Appreciate it. Mike Golic Jr. The show is Gojo and Golic. He's on Twitter at Mike Golic Jr. talking NFL and more. His best TV show, Sports Nation. Sports Nation. I mean, I know that show. I never got into it. But see, all of these shows, like if you were in college and you were able to actually watch afternoon shows, that's what you watch. That was me and Around the Horn. I didn't have much going on. Even in my early radio career, I was doing morning radio, so then I had some afternoons to watch Pardon the Interruption, PTI, and Around the Horn. So Mike Golic Jr. goes with Sports Nation. Why am I asking? Well, Around the Horn is ending its run after 23 years on TV on ESPN. And a buddy of mine, Clinton Yates, has been on that show for the last 8 years. And I thought, that's a great show. What are the best legendary sports TV shows? What are the best legendary sports TV shows? Some votes coming in. You tell me. 605-720-1067. I'm interested. We'll have a little fun with this. We got some votes for College Game Day. We have some votes for, let's see, I want to pull this up. This one came in. Sports Center. There's a vote for Inside the NBA right now. Shaq, Chuck, the Jet, and Ernie. I don't even love basketball, but I love the show. Here is RPM Tonight. I remember that show, Matt Kearney. But I just turned it off. I think it was on at night, right? RPM Tonight. And I just, it was past my bedtime. I'm sorry to tell you. So RPM Tonight. Listener text to the RPM Tonight said he asked for sports shows. Oh, hey now. And now we're getting in debates, what's sports, what's not. Listener text here, ABC's Wide World of Sports. Wide World of Sports. Not bad. Going back a ways for that. Here's a vote. The Sports Reporters. Now, that was solid. When I was younger, I was like, this is a boring show. It's a bunch of older guys, sports writers, arguing about sports. And now that's all that we do. You become an old guy arguing about sports. It's a great show. This Week in Baseball. Didn't watch that one. Are you trying to tell me, like, Baseball Tonight? Is that what you're telling me? I mean, Baseball Tonight was a good one on ESPN. Baseball Tonight was a good one on ESPN during the summer. Let's see. What's your vote? Legendary best sports TV show. What is your vote? SportsCenter's in my top 3, no doubt, when it was the real deal. You had to wait for SportsCenter. You couldn't get all the one-liners and all the personalities. They had some of the best talent across the board. SportsCenter's top 3 for me, no doubt. I still have my number 1. I'll unveil that. Hang on. You tell me, what gets your vote for best legendary sports TV show? 605-720-1067 on the Nate Brown Show text line. We're back with Zach Borg covering the Summit League. He made his picks. Who wins the Summit League? On the men's side, he picks an upset. Zach Borg next.
This is South Dakota's Sports Talk Show.
There's nothing like it. Not for hundreds of miles in any direction. A gathering space for all kinds of people from all kinds of backgrounds. To share, to revel, to stand together and celebrate life's greatest moments.
We are number 1. So you can always be their number 1. Black Hills Surgical Hospital and Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center. The number 1 hospital in the nation for major orthopedic surgery.
Hey Rush fans, it's Rob at the Firehouse Skybox. We are your official home for Rapid City Rush hockey. When the Rush are playing on the road, join other Rush fans at the Skybox and enjoy some great food and cheer on your Rush. We show every Rush away game and we'll have Rush-themed giveaways every road trip. You'll get a chance to win great Rush prizes with the purchase of a drink or food item. The Skybox has the best food and the best Rush game day experience. Go Rush!
Being in business has its rewards as well as its challenges. It means being the first one in the door in the morning and turning off the lights when you leave at night. Your business is unique, and you need a bank that understands your needs. You deserve the best. You need a financial partner that is invested in your success. You need Pioneer Bank and Trust. Don't settle. Pioneer. Pioneer Bank and Trust. Local.
Pioneer Bank and Trust. Member FDIC.
We're talking with Rihanna Wickett at Elevate Performance Physical Therapy for another Elevate Performance Health Minute. Rihanna, as we all get older, one of the most common injuries, pains, back pain.
We see it every day.
There's a lot of things that can cause it, right?
Absolutely. There's a multitude of different things that can cause back pain, whether that's strength or something that you did, you tweaked it. So it's really important that we get you looked at and figure out what's actually causing that, because so many things can cause the different types of back pain.
Okay, so what's interesting about it, you could have pain in the back, but then there's also a problem with your back, and now that turns into sciatica.
Yeah, sciatica, it tends to come down through the buttock into the leg, and back pain generally just stays right within the back. You might have something traveling, numbness and tingling, pain shooting down past the knee even, all the way to the foot. We definitely want to get that taken care of sooner than later.
Back pain relief, sciatica relief. Get started at ElevatePerformanceSD.com.
Great news. I just got the State Farm Personal Price Plan on our home and auto insurance.
You told our agent about my thing for romance novels?
No, you don't have to get that personal. Our agent just helped me choose affordable options to create a personalized price just for us.
Oh, sweet. Then you won't believe the love triangle Jen is in now.
Contact me, State Farm agent Scott Carlson, to create your personal price plan today.
Prices vary by state. Options selected by customer. Availability and eligibility may vary.
This is The Nate Brown Show, also streaming live on YouTube. Subscribe to The Nate Brown Show on YouTube.
Welcome back in. South Dakota Sports Talk Show on Fox Sports Radio. The Nate Brown Show live, Wednesday edition. It's always a great day in South Dakota. Remember that. Great week this week. Summit League tournament starting up. Great event. Just an outstanding event. How big of a home court advantage is it for SDSU and USD? Is it big? Is it huge? Will the Summit League stay in Sioux Falls? Let's get into this and more. Zach Borg is on tonight. He'll be covering it. Dakota News Now, your headquarters for all the highlights, all the coverage. Dakota News Now sports anchor Zach Borg on tonight. Zach, welcome in. You ready to go?
Yeah. I got one more off night tonight, and then I'll hit it tomorrow starting at noon with the. It's weird how they've got it set up now because obviously it moved to a weekend. It moved to the weekend format, but it used to be that the number 1 seed for the women would play at noon, and then the 2 seed, and now it's the 2 seed will be playing USD, and then it'll be the SDSU women. So few little changes, but it all gets going, and it's kind of interesting to have it on a weekend, which I think will be good for the fans. It's going to be a little harder for the sports professionals in the market because we have everything else going on at once. But we'll make do. We'll figure it out and get plenty of highlights out. And of course, there's also games on national TV too for. Starting with the men's semifinals on Saturday night.
Okay, I'm looking at this scenario, and I think the Summit League tournament's been outstanding. The crowds have been outstanding, especially when you get SDSU, USD in the semis. You get huge crowds. So how big of an advantage is that? It's my question of the day. Is it a huge advantage for the South Dakota universities to have it in Sioux Falls?
I think so. I mean, obviously, aside from the crowds, you get to. I mean, I think they still stay in hotels, but either way, it's familiar to them. They're sometimes maybe they stay in Brookings and bus back or Vermilion. I won't say that obviously that the support's been much higher for SDSU fans. We haven't quite seen the same fervor from Vermilion folks yet, but nonetheless, there's going to be a little more of a Vermilion crowd probably than most other ones. But yeah, I mean it's certainly an advantage, but. I think it's been more so on the women's side than the men's because we've seen, the common thought around a lot of the league, we've heard it from other coaches too. It's just the perception that SDSU always wins the tournament is false. I mean, they've won a lot of them, but NDSU has as many tournament titles on the men's side. It seems like the Jackrabbit men in a lot of years kind of tense up with what is perceived to be kind of a home crowd, whereas the women have always kind of thrived under it. They've never really. They only lost the only teams that have really beaten them have been USD, quite frankly, and that was obviously during the height of the Plitzowite era. So it's definitely an advantage. But sometimes you get that big crowd. If you're playing close in a game, you can feel that nervousness. You feel that tension. I think the men's teams, for some reason, kind of feel that more. And I mean, it's still a neutral court, so it's still not the same as playing in your home gym where you. Know the bounces and you're coming out of your own locker room, but no doubt it definitely helps to have 10,000 or whatever fans in blue in there.
I want to ask you if you think another market's going to get the Summit League. You think like Kansas City? I've been seeing reports Kansas City wants the Summit League tournament.
That would be interesting because I don't think there's any support for UMKC athletics within Kansas City. I mean, they're pretty far down the totem pole, but if the city makes a big run at it, there's certainly a large market. I know Omaha has been talked about for a number of years. I've always been a little surprised Fargo never got in the bidding because, if they could clear the space, the Fargo Dome would work as a facility for it. I just still don't see it because not only for the women on the women's side of it alone, it's one of the most well-attended and profitable, which is probably the key word in all this, profitable tournaments in all of the country. I mean, it has had many years where they get more attendance than the power conferences, women's basketball tournaments. So that's a pretty big. I mean, I understand that you want to kind of maybe extend an olive branch to other league members, but boy, that's giving up a lot of money and that's giving up a lot of exposure to go to Kansas City, where and I still think SDSU fans would travel pretty well wherever it goes. For the record, and I think if USD has a good season, they'll travel well. But that's giving up a lot of money and a lot of profit to spread the wealth. I think that'd be a pretty ballsy move by Josh Fenton or whoever's making that call.
If I'm the Summit League, I'm not touching it. I mean, I'm with the crowds, with the support. You want a successful tournament. Sioux Falls has been the headquarters. Zach Borgon tonight. Yeah. Dakota News Now. I want to ask you about your picks here, man. I got to ask you. I mean, come on now. I mean, what's going on the men's side? Are you messing around? Are you trying to get people wound up? You take USD over Omaha, over South Dakota State in the championship. You're going with the Coyotes on the men's side.
Well, I mean, even technically going with Indy over them beating NDSU has been a bit of a stretch because they've never beaten the Bison in the conference tournaments. I mean,
what do you think?
As I said, this is not I'm not exactly going to go mortgage the house on this. So this is a year where any of the top 5 seeds could win. I mean, and we're going to start seeing this more in the transfer portal era because the rosters turn over every year. You know, your best players go somewhere else, but you bring in new ones. I think the big issue with the Coyotes, it's twofold right now. One, I think the Coyotes have been consistently improving. I think they're one of the more improved teams in the second half of the season. They play at a great pace. They have gotten better defensively. They're not perfect, but they're not having the same kind of breakdowns when they were giving up 103 and 90-some points. They are just a really underrated team. I think it's kind of flown under the radar just because of how rough they were in the first half. And the other half is everybody else, and I think their path to the championship is a little easier if they win the first game. But everybody else along the way is pretty banged up right now. I mean, right now, NDSU, rumor out Fargo is Jackson Money has a broken wrist. We don't know if he's even going to play. If he does, he might be limited. I think the Bison could still beat USD, but I don't think they're winning 3 straight. Otherwise, they might have been my pick. I'm not ready to buy into Omaha yet. They've not been as impressive in the second half of the season as they were in the first half, and USD's matched up well with them. Beat them once and nearly came back to beat them in Omaha. And then if you get to that title game, I mean, SDSU loses Owen Larson. Kalen Gary's been banged up. Another one of their guards, Lindsay's been banged up. And I think if they get to the semifinal, they're going to play St. Thomas. That's going to be just a knockdown drag-out because St. Thomas played them very physically twice. I just think it's going to happen one day for USD. They're going to win the Summit League tournament.
Wow.
This might be one of those years where it's just kind of everything is lined up, and also the things around them are kind of lining up. But again, it wouldn't shock me at all if they lose to NDSU. This tournament is going to be pretty wild, and it's going to be a lot of fun, I think, on the men's side. The women's side is really not much of a debate, obviously.
Right. SDSU, how far ahead are they on the women's side?
I don't know if it's as far as we think because they've played in a lot closer games this year. I've been to a lot of these games. I mean, the thought coming into the season was last season they had a number of injuries. They had, obviously Haley Timmer out of Rapid City missed all of last year. A couple other players were out for the season, and they were basically running 7 players. They had to take walk-ons. So they had a very limited rotation, yet they blitzed through the season, went 16-0, really didn't have a whole lot of close games. This was the year we were expecting them to maybe fall or stumble, and they won the Summit League title pretty easily, so we thought, okay, they're going to bring almost everyone back. They're going to be healthy. They have this stud recruiting class. They're going to be even better and just more dominant, and they really haven't been this year. There have been some closer games, games where maybe the score looks like it's better, but they were close for the while, so... they're going to graduate a pretty good class of players. I think some other teams are getting closer. NDSU, if L. Evans doesn't go to Kansas, it would have been a much better team, but Jory Collins knows what he's doing. The coach, Doral Roberts, has a really good combo of guards. Music, I think that's going to be the title game, will be ORU and SDSU. So there are a couple teams that are getting closer, and I still think USD eventually, Carrie Amy, will get things going. They're just going to take some time. I think she's a pretty good coach, but I don't think the gap is as wide as it's been, because I think some other teams are starting to creep up a little bit, but right now nobody has the depth they have, and until Aaron Johnston leaves, it's hard to imagine that SDSU is going to take much of a step back.
Zach Borgon tonight, Dakota News Now. They'll be covering the Summit League. Gets cranking. Find them on Twitter at Iceborg. I got to let you run with this. You're a TV guy, so I have to ask you my question of the day, which is, Around the Horn is ending its run after 23 years on TV. Okay, so I have a buddy who's been on that show for the last 8 years. I started with him way back in the day. So I thought, what is the best legendary sports TV show? Zach Borg, what did you grow up on? I think SportsCenter is an all-timer to me. That's a top 3 for me. But I do have one show that is a cut above the rest. What is your favorite legendary sports TV show?
Well, I mean, SportsCenter's right up there, especially when it was Keith Olbermann and Dan Patrick for me. With Rich Eisen and Stuart Scott was a great pairing too. But that's kind of a different thing. That's a nightly show. I mean, that's the highlight show, or at least it was. It's kind of different things now. One that really came into my consciousness, and for better and worse, kind of started the current era, was Pardon the Interruption. That came on. That came on when I was in high school, and that really, I was intrigued by that. I mean, that was sports writers, and they're still on, Wilbon and Kornheiser, and I genuinely enjoyed that, and I think that kind of, like I said, for better and worse, that set the tone for everything that has come since. And I don't watch it as much. And I like PTI, and I like Pardon the Interruption too. I mean, Around the Horn as well. I mean, I watch them pretty religiously. I don't see them as much now, but and another one I think is pretty underrated that was actually the forerunner to them was the original Sports Reporters.
Yes.
That was a great show every Sunday morning. My dad and I remember really when I was young, we would kind of watch that, and that was really the forerunner to PTI. It would just be every Sunday, and it was just the panelists, the newspaper reporters. So to me, PTI is probably, even still, it's the gold standard. I think a lot of that is just because Kornheiser and Wilbon had such a good chemistry, and
that's a good call.
It flowed.
Good call.
And it flowed.
All right, Zach Borg, good call. Pardon the interruption. It makes my top 4, okay? PTI does make my top 4. All right, I'm going to do this.
What your favorite one is, I'll have to check back on it because I got to get going here in a
bit. All right,
buddy.
But, I appreciate you. Thanks for coming on. Good luck at the Summit League covering it. Zach Borg on tonight. Dakota News Now, sports anchor. They'll be covering the Summit League, of course, live, and great coverage on Dakota News Now. Let's do that. My best legendary sports TV shows. Are we ready? I've been into this. I've been watching this for a long time. I'm going to unveil my top 4. We'll take your votes, 605-720-1067. Back with the best TV shows of all time next.
This is the Nate Brown Show.
There's nothing like it. Not for hundreds of miles in any direction. A gathering space for all kinds of people from all kinds of backgrounds. To share. To revel, to stand together and celebrate life's greatest moments.
We are number one. So you can always be their number one. Black Hills Surgical Hospital and Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center. The number one hospital in the nation for major orthopedic surgery.
Rapid City, more big news from Gateway Autoplex. We are expanding our services with our brand new state-of-the-art auto repair shop located right behind our lot, 123 Omaha Street. Gateway Tire and Alignment. That's right, Rapid City. We're now your one-stop shop for everything auto-related. From routine maintenance to major repairs, our team of expert technicians has you covered. Plus, with our state-of-the-art equipment, you can trust that your vehicle is in the best possible hands. Visit Gateway Tire and Alignment and see why nobody beats a Gateway deal.
Here's your Fox Sports Rapid City forecast. A winter weather advisory begins at noon tomorrow and continues until 5 a.m. Friday morning. Lows level off around 25 tonight under cloudy skies, northwesterly winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Chance of snow tomorrow, high temperatures reach up to 33, overcast. 3 to 5 inches of snow tomorrow through tomorrow night. That's your forecast on the Black Hills Sports Station, Fox Sports Rapid City. Right now, 43.
This isn't just the sound of a legendary Brunswick pool table. It's the sound of families about to make memories together. And while this may sound like the hum of a spa, listen closely, and you'll hear backyard fun for years to come. So while Splash City's guarantee of quality sure sounds good, we know quality time sounds even better.
Who wants another burger?
Splash City, 1024 West Omaha, across from Connects in Rapid City.
Collins Siding has been the region's premier window siding, door, and gutter installation specialist since 1974. They use only the highest quality materials and never compromise on their workmanship. Collins Siding is licensed, bonded, and their estimates always include labor, materials, and applicable permits and taxes. Collins Siding has been providing top quality service and exceeding high standards for over 45 years, and you can find out how by visiting them at 2016 Cherry Avenue. Collins Siding, 2016 Cherry Avenue, Rapid City.
The doctors and staff at Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center have provided expert bone, joint, and muscle care to patients in the Black Hills area since 1976. Whether you're an elite athlete, a weekend warrior, or just want to continue your active lifestyle, the orthopedic experts at Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center will help you stay in the game. Don't let an injury keep you from doing the things you love. Trust the team at Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center, specializing in what moves you. Learn more at bhosc.com.
From high school to college to the pros, from Rapid City to Sioux Falls, the Nate Brown Show is South Dakota's sports talk show.
Welcome back in. The Nate Brown Show is on Fox Sports Radio. Glad you're here. Thanks for making the show possible. South Dakota Sports Talk Show, local, regional, national, got you covered tonight. Zach Borg moments ago talking Summit League. He picks the USD men to win the tournament in an upset and go on a run. Yote's going to go on a run. Zach Borg said this is the year. It takes SDSU women to take their number one seed and win the whole thing. Summit League starting up. If you missed parts of the show, go to the Nate Brown Show podcast. You can hear everybody. Mike Golick Jr. got the show started tonight. Good stuff. I've asked a question of the day, a little fun one tonight, with the news that Around the Horn is ending after 23 years on ESPN. Around the Horn, it's been on 23 years. Any show that's on 23 years, that's a run. That's quite a run. I wanted to know what gets your vote for best legendary sports TV show. Times have changed. Sports Center's not nearly what it was, but I'm talking the great Sports Center back in the day. Kenny Mayne, Rich Eisen, Stuart Scott, Dan Patrick. This is what I'm talking about. So Sports Center's in my top three. Let me unveil my best sports TV shows of all time, and you tell me what you vote for. 605-720-1067. We've had plenty of votes, numerous shows coming in. And I'm going to tell you number 4 for me. Number 4 for me is Pardon the Interruption. PTI with Tony Kornheiser and Michael Wilbon. I started watching that. That is the original show. That's the original to what all of these hot take shows are now. Arguing, yelling, back and forth. Everybody thinks they're doing it now. Everybody thinks that's a thing now. Kornheiser and Wilbon started it. They were great friends. They do that show out of D.C., by the way. That's where I started my career, back in the George Michael Sports Machine. So I kind of got into it, and Kornheiser and Wilbon, just outstanding. The chemistry, the debate, I like the originality. So PTI is number 4 for me. I'm going to go number 3, and this show's still on and is still really strong. Every Saturday morning, I got to hit College Game Day. I think College Game Day is one of the ultimate shows. It beats any NFL pregame show, I think. I think it beats NFL Game Day. You remember NFL Game Day? That was solid for ESPN. Pregame? That was solid. College Game Day surpassed, to me, NFL Game Day. The personalities, Lee Corso, the mascots, the picks, all of that stuff. That's good stuff. So I'm going to go College Game Day as my number 3 sports TV show, okay? Number 2, I've already teased it. I will say SportsCenter, the legendary lineup of SportsCenter. When the anchors were the stars, we had to wait for sports highlights. We just didn't have our phone right here. SportsCenter is not what it is now, but SportsCenter back in the day was the ultimate TV show. But number 1, this was something I would still watch today. I would still watch this today, even though I had to be home every Sunday night. I needed to watch this show to find out what happened in games in the NFL every single Sunday. The music, the Chris Berman nicknames, the chemistry with Tom Jackson. Is there a better show than NFL Primetime? They'll do the little primetime cut-in still today, and I sit there, I love it. I hear the theme music, and it brings me back to, did you remember you had to watch NFL Primetime to even know what happened with this team or what happened with this game? You just couldn't look it up on anything. You had to know, and it came down to the final field goal. And then you'd find out right there if the Raiders lost to the Chiefs, in my case. Okay? So NFL Primetime, you couldn't get a better show than that. By the way, I got people voting on this, 605-720-1067 on the text line on the Nate Brown Show tonight. There is a vote. Chris Berman and Tom Jackson, what time is it? Prime time. So I appreciate that vote. That's a correct vote right there. Primetime's my number 1 show. NFL Primetime, number 1. Chris Berman, you couldn't beat it. You could not beat it. My favorite sport, and the show, the highlight show was just the ultimate. Sundays, you bring yourself back there. That was the ultimate. So Primetime, SportsCenter, legendary SportsCenters, College Game Day, PTI, my top 4. Into the second hour tonight, I've got some news to share about big things I'm hearing with the new Rapid City Sports facility. What does this mean for Rapid City and the state? We'll discuss next.
This is South Dakota's Sports Talk Show.
The South Dakota Lottery is all about good fun, but too much fun is not good fun, like too much ice cream. Brain freeze is not fun, or roller coasters. Good fun! Or lottery games. Too much fun is not good fun. That's why the South Dakota Lottery reminds you to always play only for fun. And if you can't, help is available and always confidential. Because too much fun is not good fun. Play responsibly. Keep the fun good. Learn more at keepthefungood.com.
In towns all across South Dakota, it's your banker, the kids' Little League coach, and your brother-in-law who are the firefighters, EMTs, and first responders. So when you drink and drive, the whole town will know it. Because they're the first on the scene, and maybe the last faces you see. Do the first responders in your town a favor. Volunteer to be the designated driver. You be the hero, and give them the night off. Brought to you by the South Dakota Office of Highway Safety, the South Dakota Broadcasters Association, and this station.
At Black Hills Federal Credit Union, we are committed to improving the lives of our members and bettering our communities. As your community credit union, we're here to get to know you and your unique needs. From extended service hours to the newest technology, we have you covered. Stop by any location to get started or text or call 605-718-1818. BHFCU is member-owned, not-for-profit, and federally insured by the NCUA.
Find your fortune and fall for big wins during the Love and Luck promotion at Cadillac Jack's Gaming Resort. Join us every Friday and Saturday night from 8 p.m. to midnight for prize drawings that grow bigger each hour. Then, don't miss the grand prize event on Saturday, March 29th, where 10 lucky winners will take home prizes ranging from $500 to $5,000. Let Love and Luck bring you big wins and even bigger thrills. Only at Cadillac Jack's Gaming Resort in Deadwood. How will your night play out?
KIMM Rapid City and K294BT Rapid City, the Black Hills Sports Station, 106.7 FM and 1150 AM. Fox Sports Rapid City.
Hey, sports parents and ballers of all ages, Rapid City has a new sports facility that you have to check out. E3 Sports Complex on East North Street is the newest indoor sports facility featuring 4 full courts. E3 Sports is here to serve the community and wants all athletes of any age to come and experience expert training, coaching, and the opportunity to unlock your athletic potential. Memberships and court rentals are available now. Come to play at E3 Sports Complex. Learn more at e3sports.org.
Chatting here with Brian from Anytime Auto Sales Service and Detail. All I know is where we live, boy, it's hard on vehicles. That it is. We're here to take care of all your automotive needs. I know you're an ASE and AAA approved repair facility. Well, what's that all mean? It means we've passed all the national requirements to be an authorized AAA automotive repair facility. Plus, our mechanics have passed thorough testing in all of the disciplines of auto repair to achieve their ASE certification. Impressive. So from oil changes to brakes and batteries, cooling, heating, or shocks and suspension, we're your answer. A one-stop shop. Absolutely. Plus, we carry over 50 brand name tires with deals as good as anywhere, and flat out the best brake deal around at just $399 per axle with new pads, rotors, labor, and a lifetime warranty for most vehicles. That's an incredible brake deal. You know, it really is. Anytime Auto Sales Service and Detail. The place to trust. Your complete AAA and ASE certified automotive repair specialist. See anytime.com and at the corner of Highway 79 and East Minnesota.
Anytime Auto Sales. One more time.
This is the Nate Brown Show. From the biggest national names to the hottest stories across South Dakota. Welcome to the Nate Brown Show. Here's your host, Nate Brown.
Welcome back in this hour of the Nate Brown Show, driven by Summit Automotive Group. When it comes to pre-owned selection, that's only the start. Experience car buying built around you with the right selection, the right price, the right treatment. Go to summitautogrp.com. Start there. The Nate Brown Show is on Fox Sports Radio, South Dakota Sports Talk Show. Welcome in. Great guests coming up. We'll talk to Greg Bell tonight, Seahawks beat writer. There's things going on in Seattle, I think, getting people's attention. Tyler Lockett, wide receiver, they release him. So they're not going to have Lockett. I think he's a nice player. Lockett's a nice player, underrated. And then DK Metcalf after that says, I want to trade. So the big guy with the Seahawks wants a trade. I got a listener text coming in, 605-720-1067, asking me, what do you think about rumors if the Broncos get DK Metcalf? This came in, I think, a couple of days ago, and I'm like, I just don't know if they're going to do it. But now DK wants out of Seattle. We'll talk to Greg Bell coming up, Seahawks beat writer from the News Tribune, live from Seattle. I'm going to get Keith Smith on tonight. Great basketball guy. His show is Front Office Show. He's out of Orlando. There's an interesting high school basketball elite story out there where this coach who's won all of these games, all of these national championships, just got a big change. He's going to leave a massive elite program in Orlando and go to Ohio. And I thought Keith Smith's dialed in on this. I'm going to get to him straight ahead. Keith Smith coming up, talking that high school basketball story out of Florida. So I gotta put this out there. I think it's important that people understand where the situation is at. I've talked about facilities across South Dakota. We've talked about the Sioux Falls facilities that have just ramped up over the years. And it was a slow start because Sioux Falls had the Sioux Falls Arena and not much else. And then there was this run of the Denny Premier Center, the Pentagon, the Sanford Fieldhouse, now the turf field, soccer, softball, baseball. So there's been this big run of facilities in Sioux Falls. And then you look at Rapid City and you say, is Rapid City going to get this going? Because they had the elite facility, The Rushmore Plaza Civic Center was the elite facility, had the ice arena with the Barnett Arena, and you could do two things at once and the whole thing. But now there was a lull, and then Rapid City decided, hey, we got to go with the Monument. We got to get a state-of-the-art, up-to-speed, current facility for better events, better concerts. Now, you can argue, has the Monument filled itself enough? You can argue that or not. We're not going to do that tonight, but that's a legitimate thing to discuss. But that's the last big thing Rapid City's done, and the Rapid City voters said, we will do the Summit Arena, the Monument, and so you have a brand-new facility hosting the state tournaments and all of that. Just had state wrestling this past weekend. So now what's next on the docket for South Dakota? You hear about the Sioux Falls scenario with the Sioux Falls Arena and Convention Center. What do they do with that space? That's a little more, let's see, do they renovate? Do they do something there? So that's going to be discussed. And next up for Rapid City, this is going to be discussed this month, a new indoor sports facility. So I've touched on this program the past 6 months, maybe the past year. Time flies when you're having fun. So you go back, and I said, there was a facility study done in Rapid City. What does the community need? What would be beneficial for the type of tournaments you can do, the type of weather you have, the type of current facilities you have? What does Rapid City need? And there were Rapid City people involved saying, hey, we need better softball fields, too. We need a new complex. We need maybe some turf fields on the soccer side. So there's been this discussion, but I've always been pretty solid with, I think Rapid City, and I didn't go through the facilities consultation. I didn't go with the consultant and drive around and do all that. But I feel like Rapid City, with where the situation's at, you need sports economic impact with sports tourism in the off months where people aren't visiting the Black Hills, Mount Rushmore, Crazy Horse, and the like. So I've always thought an indoor sports facility, and it's got to be big enough that you can do hard court sports. You could do some turf stuff if you can do it. And I feel like there's got to be a community aspect to this. So that was, I don't know when we talked about this the first time, maybe a year ago, as the Sports Commission in Rapid City was kind of looking and doing the study, what does Rapid City need? So here's the scenario this month. You're going to hear about a new indoor sports facility that's in the works for Rapid City. This should be the way this is planned out, and I haven't seen how many courts, how many of this. I don't have those details, but I know enough. This should be something the entire city and community of Rapid City should be able to get behind. They should be able to get behind this because it's not just for this sports organization, for this sports team, for this for youth sports in general. Because I think there's been projects, especially some of this stuff where, well, this team can use it. Well, it belongs to this organization. Even though, yeah, we let teams in or we let this happen, that's always been the rub on some of the sports enhancements in the Black Hills and in Rapid City. It's belonged to this team or it's part of this organization. This one is truly a citywide effort. And it will be very beneficial for youth sports, from what I see, very beneficial for youth sports. But also think about the sports tourism side, because I've said, why do you need an indoor sports facility? Because you need people coming to Rapid City when they're not coming. And that means from late fall to late early spring. Those are the months where it's cold. We know that situation. So can you attract events? Can you put things together? An indoor sports facility is the way to go. That's where you're going to get a return on investment with people visiting the Black Hills that maybe wouldn't visit. You don't need the outdoor stuff. To me, a big investment in that. People have a tough time coming here in the summer as is. So I think it's the third part of this is community use. Why I say the whole city, I think, can get behind it. There's going to be an element of this where the community can use it. So what I would like to tell you, think about the Pentagon in Sioux Falls, which is basketball, volleyball, the Pentagon combined with the Sanford Fieldhouse. That's the type of facility that I think you're going to hear more about. Think about the Pentagon, hardcourt sports, Fieldhouse, some of the turf stuff. That's the ultimate goal with a community use aspect, where it's not just kids and youth sports teams taking it over. This is a community facility as well. Thanks for calling. You're live, and you go ahead.
Hey, Nate. Well, it sounds a little bit like a dreamy thing, you know, but I have a problem with sports facilities at this moment. You know, like the South Middle School just built this really nice football field and track, and it's all just going to be great. I mean, but they're going to fence it in and lock it up, and nobody can go play on it. You know, when I was growing up, we played on those fields all the time. That was one of the things we did. And you wonder why kids don't go out and play anymore? It's because we take every opportunity away. That's all I got to say about that.
Okay, let's hope not. I mean, with this thing, and thanks for calling. Let's hope not with this thing. Honestly, I think that's been part of the problem with some of the Vision Fund projects in Rapid City. It has been tied to organizations. And they say, well, this is going to be open to everybody. And it really hasn't followed through that way. I mean, if you're just honest, you have to say, this has been tied to this has been tied to this, and it's not as open as people think. Those haven't worked out like they probably should have for the general community when you're getting a Vision Fund project. This Vision Fund round, this is a community facility. This is a sports facility, yes, but you have to have the community aspect and the community buy-in. I think it's a great plan. You have to figure out, okay, there's going to be Vision Fund projects. There's going to be projects that are funded outside of this. Is this the sports one that people want to get behind? I sure would think this is the right plan. Sports tourism, community use, think Pentagon, Fieldhouse combined. Rapid City looking at it. We'll hear more about it coming up this month. I think it's something to watch. Coming right back, Keith Smith. We're going to talk about this high school basketball story out of Florida. It's a wild one. Is high school basketball a massive business? I mean, this is wild. Keith Smith is in Orlando. He's got this story. I'm going to discuss it next.
This is the Nate Brown Show.
There's nothing like it. Not for hundreds of miles in any direction. A gathering space for all kinds of people from all kinds of backgrounds. To share, to revel, to stand together and celebrate life's greatest moments.
We are number one, so you can always be their number one. Black Hills Surgical Hospital and Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center. The number one hospital in the nation for major orthopedic surgery.
Black Hills Community Bank. If you run your own company or you're looking to start a small business here in the Black Hills, you want to make sure you choose the right banking partner. And I know the right choice for business is Black Hills Community Bank. They have plenty of banking options to suit your specific needs. And Black Hills Community Bank is here to help business owners thrive and to make sure you have the support and tools to help your business grow. Just contact one of their business loan experts today or visit bhcbank.com. Member FDIC.
Here's your Fox Sports Rapid City forecast. A winter weather advisory begins at noon tomorrow and continues until 5 a.m. Friday morning. Lows level off around 25 tonight under cloudy skies. Northwesterly winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Chance of snow tomorrow. High temperatures reach up to 33. Overcast. 3 to 5 inches of snow tomorrow through tomorrow night. That's your forecast on the Black Hills Sports Station, Fox Sports Rapid City. Right now, 43.
Kelley Blue Book Instant Cash Offer from Denny Menholt Toyota. Use your phone. It's fast and easy. Pull up our website, click on Value Trade-In, scan your VIN, and tell us about your car. You are on your way to a no-hassle, no-commitment cash offer on your vehicle in under 5 minutes. Bring your vehicle and your Kelley Blue Book Instant Cash Offer to Denny Menholt Toyota and get cash or trade-in credit today. See you soon at Denny Menholt Toyota, Rapid City.
Hi, this is David Brenneman with Coldwell Banker Black Hills Legacy in Rapid City. With today's home values, right now could be a great time to sell your home. The Black Hills housing market is competitive, and I would love to help you get top dollar for your home. I have been selling real estate and attracting buyers in Rapid City for nearly 20 years. When it comes to buying or selling, experience matters. If you're thinking of selling your current home, let me put my expertise to work for you. Just Google David Brenneman, Coldwell Banker. List it, sell it, and move on. With me, David Brenneman, Coldwell Banker.
Looking for a great place for a pregame meal that really satisfies? Or maybe you want a place more. Top-notch, friendly, and attentive service. Wall-to-wall big screen TVs with all the big games. And the absolute best wings in Rapid City. Valley Sports Bar. Make it your place. 1865 Valley Drive, Rapid City.
Your sports, your show. From East River to West River. This is South Dakota's sports talk show. The Nate Brown Show.
Your sports, your show. The Nate Brown Show is on Fox Sports Radio tonight. Thanks for making us part of your afternoon drive. South Dakota Sports Talk Show streaming all the time on X. Follow us and watch us live on X at Nate Brown Show. Greg Bell's coming up from Seattle. Hang on later this hour. Seahawks beat writer. What's the real story with the Seahawks? Tyler Lockett's out. DK Metcalf wants out. That's two top-tier wide receivers. Where are the Seahawks going? Would the Seahawks make a deal with my Broncos with DK Metcalf? Do I want that deal? Greg Bell's coming up, Seahawks beat writer from Seattle. Keith Smith's on tonight from Florida. Front Office Show is his show. Covers the NBA. If you're not following him, follow him at Keith Smith NBA. Contributor for Spot Track as well. Keith, welcome back on. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Appreciate the time. So, this story was interesting to me. It got national headlines on Fox, on ESPN today about a high school basketball coach from your neck of the woods down there in Orlando, Kevin Boyle. So Kevin Boyle's been a high school coach at an elite academy down there in Florida. He's won national championships, national coach of the year. Now he's going to Ohio to this other elite academy called Spire Academy. I wanted to get your read on how this type of deal goes down in high school sports. I'm seeing reports this is like a huge, huge deal.
Yeah, it absolutely was. Kevin Boyle at Montverde Academy here, just down the road from Orlando. He has built them into a powerhouse. They have won multiple national championships since he's been there. He kind of came into national prominence with St. Patrick in New Jersey when he was Kyrie Irving's high school coach. And then he moved to Montverde back in, I believe it was 2011, built them into a national power. That's where Cooper Flagg played at last season or last couple of seasons. But he's also had Cade Cunningham, R.J. Barrett, D'Angelo Russell, Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid was at the school for a little while. It's just a long list of guys who have gone to the NBA out of Montverde. So it's a huge deal that he's leaving and moving on to another high school, because this is a change in what's happened. Like, there's college coaches who would tell you, I need to make like 2 recruiting trips a year and see Montverde and see whoever they're playing, and I'll know if guys can play, because that's how good they are.
Okay, so how did Kevin Boyle establish this? When you're talking Cooper Flagg, That's going to be the number one pick, we think, in the NBA, the Duke star. How did he establish all of these players over the years?
Yeah, a lot of it was recruiting. It's a private school, so they did a lot of recruiting to get a lot of different guys and get guys to come to Florida from other places. So rare is the student that enrolled as a freshman and then went 4 years there at Montverde. Usually, there's a lot of guys. They kind of came to prominence as a high school player, and then it was, well, I want to play in practice every day against the best in the country and play this really heavy travel schedule. I mean, they play on ESPN just about every week. They're playing on one of the ESPN channels against another high-level high school program, and that once that got established with, we can get some of the best players to come here. He also had great connections, obviously, through when Kyrie was one of his players, and he had other good players. Al Harrington played for him in New Jersey as well. So he's just a great coach. Their practices are legendary. Practices will go 3 to 4 hours in length because their whole belief is if you can get through one of our practices, games should be nothing for you. You're going to be able to plow right through those. So just a really good coach, a really good guy, cares a lot about his kids, and everybody, at Montverde was kind of surprised by this news, but it's, it kind of is what it is at this point.
Kevin Boyle, one of the most successful high school coaches of all time, leaving Montverde in Florida, where he developed all these D1 and NBA stars, now to Spire Academy. That's in Ohio. So this is another elite boarding school athletic training institution. Some people say, Kevin, last one on this, that Kevin Boyle is, well, he's a high school coach, but these aren't like high schools. What do you say to that?
Yeah, there's a little bit of truth to that. Now, I will say Montverde is like a private school. There's several of those here in Florida where some of the kids live on campus as boarding students. Some of them are local kids. We know a lot of kids that my daughter has grown up with that go to Montverde that are just local kids that go there. But then you also happen to have these, high-level basketball players. Their girls' basketball program, I think, is still ranked number 1 in the country. Their soccer programs are very highly rated. Their baseball team is very highly rated. So it's kind of like IMG Academy. A lot of people know them. They focused more on the non-football side, where IMG's done a lot on the football side. It's been basketball and soccer have been kind of the prominent programs at Montverde. But yeah, it's a really good school. But yeah, there is definitely a sense of this is not like my high school. I grew up with every single kid I went to high school with.
Right.
Right. We grew up together from kindergarten all the way through, and this is not that. This is a little bit of a different setup here, but that's where these kids want to go. The best of the best want to compete against the best players and prove themselves ready. And a lot of these guys know as well. It starts for them as an NBA prospect when they're in high school. There's only so many high school game or competitions NBA clubs can go to, so you want to make sure you're at one of them and you're allowed to get in front of those guys. And that's what a lot of these kids, that's why they're attracted to these schools.
High school basketball, the business of high school basketball with Kevin Boyle taking a new job, leaving a massive job at Montverde Academy in Florida to Spire Academy. He's going to Ohio. Interesting story. Keith Smith on from Florida wanted his perspective. Let's talk NBA here. I'm going to get your read on LeBron James, 50,000 points. People will say, well, the longevity, that's what it is. How big is 50,000 for LeBron?
Yeah, I mean, the longevity certainly plays in, but this is not, the big one when I was growing up was Robert Parrish. Felt like he was going to play forever, and by the end, Robert Parrish wasn't even playing, and if he did, he was scoring about 2 or 3 points per game. I mean, LeBron's still out there scoring 20, 30 a night and doing his thing, and, he looks a little bit different. He's not the high flyer. He's not racing up and down the floor the way he used to back in the day, but still gets it done, on a very high level. He's just an unbelievable, talent. And, I don't know that we're going to see the combination of high-level skill with the longevity like this for a very long time, because he really is just, an unbelievable player. And it's so funny. I said, I've done the full 360 on LeBron. I loved when he came in. I thought it was great. I was kind of out on him when the whole decision stuff went down. And now that I've, said, well, we only have a couple more years of this, it feels like 7 or 8 different times. when it's still going. Now I'm back in, all the way back around. I'm loving it.
Okay, I got to ask you about LeBron. Do you think, how many years left for him?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, he is definitely getting close to done. And the reason why I say that is he's saying that himself. He's been kind of, hinting at that for several years now of, I've only got, so many more years left of this. And I do wonder if getting Luka Doncic in Los Angeles can kind of lengthen things because he doesn't have to do everything anymore. He doesn't have to be the guy anymore. And he also knows, hey, I can hand off some of the other stuff, some of the media responsibilities, some of the other things to Luka as kind of the face of the franchise, and maybe we'll want hang around for another year or two and kind of extra than what he planned. But my guess is somewhere within the maybe 2 to 3 year range. I think he definitely would like to get another title and see if he can kind of push up that way. But it's for him, as long as he's playing at a high level, might as well keep going.
Keith Smith's on tonight. Watch his show, Front Office Show. New episode just came out. He's also a contributor for Spot Track, NBA writer. Keith Smith on tonight. So I'm looking at the Mavericks. I said last night on the show, you couldn't get any worse than this. Traded Luka. Anthony Davis gets hurt. Kyrie out with a torn ACL. Where are the Mavs going from here?
Yeah, I mean, if the Phoenix Suns could get out of their own way for more than a game at a time, we'd be putting them in pen as the final seed in the Western Conference play-in tournament. I don't know that the Suns are going to be able to do that. I don't know that Portland, who's been on this incredible hot streak recently and playing pretty good basketball, I don't know if they're going to be able to keep that running and catch up eventually or not. But so Dallas may just kind of stumble into the postseason, but I think it's going to be a short stay. I wouldn't pick them to win in that first play-in tournament game. It's a mess. They don't have any on-ball creators now. It's going to be very hard for them to find offense. That's going to make it very difficult on the Mavericks to get much done. And now you start to wonder, all right, Anthony Davis, do we even bring him back? I certainly would if he. Yeah, I said it on our show today. If he's 95%, nope. If he's 97, 98, 99.9, nope. It's 100% and he feels great. Otherwise, there's just no real reason to bring him back. This is a lost season. You just kind of let it go.
Okay, Keith Smith on tonight. Mavericks in a just a mess with how things have played out. Who's the best team in the West and the East right now?
It's still the Thunder and the Cavs. I think right now. The Cavs, it feels like they're never going to lose again, and the Thunder are just behind that pace. Those two teams have been wonderful all season long, and I put Boston in that group with them. I think Lakers and Nuggets, they're probably just behind those two teams. If you start kind of putting all the teams into like tiers and groupings, of Boston, they're just kind of getting through the regular season. It's been there, done that. We don't need to win a million games. We just need to be healthy come playoff time. But Cleveland and Oklahoma City are really, really good teams, and they're going to be tough outs come playoff time.
Keith Smith on tonight. NBA writer. Front Office Show is the show. Spot Track. Find him there at Keith Smith NBA. Keith, always appreciate you. Thanks a lot.
I appreciate it. Thanks so much for having me.
Appreciate your time. Keith Smith from Florida tonight with that interesting story about Kevin Boyle, this legendary high school basketball coach with all these top-tier players that had played for him, now leaving Florida, going to Ohio. I thought that was really interesting. Keith Smith on tonight. His show is Front Office Show, a great NBA show, covers the NBA on the Nate Brown Show. So I've looked at these elite basketball / football / soccer, whatever, these elite athletic schools. Do you think these schools serve a good purpose? That's a loaded question. But I just thought about these because let's say your kid is an NBA player right here in South Dakota. 6'8", 6'9", whatever it is. Would you think, hey, if you got a call from Kevin Boyle, the legendary coach from Florida, he has all these players, R.J. Barrett, Cade Cunningham, Cooper Flagg, Kyrie Irving back in the day, National Coach of the Year. If Kevin Boyle, he's going to now leave that Florida school to this place called Spire Academy. They call themselves a premier multi-sport boarding school and athletic training institution. So that's from Spire Academy. I've got it right here, this Ohio school. It's a quote-unquote high school, but they call themselves a premier multi-sport boarding school and athletic training institution. If you got a call from Kevin Boyle, hey, we want Jimmy to come and play for us, would you do that? I mean, everybody's situation's different. Parents today would think long and hard about that. There's people trying to get this edge and that edge going to this camp, joining this team, going over here, traveling there to the showcase, to the this. We want to be on this soccer club, not this one, and we're going to join this one in there. So if you got a premier, you got the number one coach in the country in high school basketball, as you call it. What do you think of these elite multi-sport boarding schools, athletic training institutions? And yes, they do the high school education over here as well. Do they serve a good purpose? That's a question I asked to the audience tonight. Do you think these elite athletic academy high schools serve a good purpose? And I'm just asking the question because if you're an athlete, I mean elite, Cooper Flagg, for example, my guy at the Dukies, he's going to be an NBA player, hands down. He went to Montverde Academy, where this Kevin Boyle coached until he left today. Do they serve a good purpose? If you know you're an NBA star, you just go to a place like that, you get ahead of the game, and you're good to go. Or no, it's still the wrong priorities. Just stick with your high school in wherever, and just work yourself through the recruiting process, and you'll make it anyway. Do you think these elite high school athletic academies serve a good purpose? They're high schools, but they're athletic training institutions. 73% of the audience tonight on my poll says it's wrong priorities for the parents. 73% say not a good purpose, wrong priorities. 27% say if you're a top athlete, that's where you should go. Just 27%. Quick timeout tonight. Coming back with Greg Bell. Covers the Seattle Seahawks. Are the Seahawks just going to go the other way? Starting to tear it down a little bit. Should my Broncos take a look at DK Metcalf? He wants out of Seattle. What do we think of players requesting trades now? It seems like it's happening more and more. Greg Bell, Seahawks beat writer, with the latest next.
This is South Dakota's Sports Talk Show.
How do you make a buffet day even better? Make it a play day. The Pizza Ranch and Fun Zone Arcade is your place for good food and good times. Won the big game? Make it a play day. Aced your test? Make it a play day. Just need to get out of the house? Make it a play day. The Pizza Ranch and Fun Zone Arcade has all your favorites and all kinds of fun. So bring your family, bring your friends, bring your team. For good food and good times, make it a buffet day and a play day at the Pizza Ranch and Fun Zone Arcade.
Are you tired of your dog shredding your lawn or tracking in with muddy paws? Canine Grass by Forever Lawn is the high-performance artificial grass made specifically for dogs. Only the Canine Grass system has knitted backing for edge-to-edge drainage, antimicrobial blades, and no infill. Don't trap the waste and odors using any other turf. Call 605-831-9026 or Google Forever Lawn in South Dakota. With dealerships on both sides of the state, we're ready to help you clean up after your dogs. Forever Lawn in South Dakota.
Winter has us all looking for a warm place to land. While your vehicle gets left out in the cold, even when garaged, there's a list of cold weather-related issues like cold engine start damage, batteries, or frozen suspension. This is Martin from Al's D&I Repair. If you're hearing noises or maybe something just feels off, it may not be a ghost, but it could be a warning. Give us a call. We'll find the issue before it leaves you stranded. Most vehicles, most years, and most countries. Al's D&I can fix them. Check in at Al's D&I or online at alsdniautorepair.com.
Building projects can be complex. The risks are great and time is money. Consolidated Construction of Rapid City simplifies the process by being your advocate, guiding you through funding, design, and construction. They manage the players and the schedule and marry the design to your budget so you get the most for your investment. They promise an energizing experience before, during, and after construction. It's not enough that you get a quality building. They pledge you'll experience quality every step of the way. Consolidated Construction. OneCallToBuild.com.
Hi, this is Dr. Dan Jensen at Physio. We want to be your trusted partner for physical therapy, athlete development, and sports rehab. As the official strength and conditioning partners for Stevens, Central, Douglas, and the Rapid City Rush, our team at Physio is building the best athletes in the Black Hills. If you have an athlete in the family, we offer long-term athlete development at affordable prices for middle and high school students. We also have the only board-certified sports PT in Rapid City. At our brand new facility, Physio is ready to help you perform at your best. One-on-one physical therapy, athlete development, and sports rehab, all at one place. Get started at bhphysio.com.
If you're in the market for a vehicle right now, you probably have noticed it's sometimes hard to find the right one. That's where Summit Automotive Group steps in. Stacy and Matt and their staff working hard to get a great selection of pre-owned vehicles at affordable prices. At Summit Automotive, they have a different outlook on selling you a vehicle. You'll experience stress-free shopping, friendly, honest service with no high-pressure sales gimmicks. Before you buy, drop by East Highway 44, SummitAutoGRP.com.
Ever since Barron's Wilson Funeral Home first opened their doors in Rapid City 140 years ago, they have continued to make personal service their number one priority. In your time of grief, they offer a personal touch by being at your side through every step of the funeral process. They answer difficult questions and guide you toward other professional services you may need. See for yourself the wide variety of services they can provide for you by visiting their website at barronswilson.com.
You're listening to The Nate Brown Show, also streaming right now on X. Follow us and watch the show live at Nate Brown Show.
Back in South Dakota Sports Talk Show across the state. The Nate Brown Show live on Fox Sports Radio. Thanks for being here. If you missed parts of the show, great guests across the board tonight from South Dakota and beyond. Mike Golick Jr. got us started. We went to the Summit League tournament in Sioux Falls. Zach Borgon tonight. Go to the Nate Brown Show podcast. All of the shows are there. Search the Nate Brown Show wherever you get your favorite podcasts. Greg Bell's been on before. We appreciate his time. Covers the Seahawks. Does a nice job. TheNewsTribune.com. What's going on with the Seahawks? Tyler Lockett's not going to be there. Is DK Metcalf going to be there? Greg Bell, Seahawks writer. TheNewsTribune.com on tonight. Greg, thanks for the time. How are you?
I'm well, Nate. Hello, South Dakota. How are you?
We are doing good, man. You got some things popping out there, so I said it's time to get Greg on, find out what's going on. So let's start with Tyler Lockett. I like him as a player. I mean, I think he's a player. What were the Seahawks faced with here?
Well, he was carrying a $31 million salary cap hit for this year, the final year of his deal. Like most NFL veterans, the contract was backloaded to where there was a balloon final year, and the decision point is always before the final year of most veteran big money contracts. He's 32 years old, so the decision point was always going to be before this final season, 2025. The Seahawks saved $17 million by making this move. What really precipitated it was Jackson Smith-Njigba, the second-year wide receiver, first-round draft pick for the Seahawks in 2023, emerging to 100 receptions last year, tying Lockett's team record in Seattle. And that made him above Lockett and number 2 or even 1 in 1A with DK Metcalf. And so you're not going to pay Tyler Lockett $31-plus million in cap hit. You're not going to pay him even cash of $13-plus million when he's a number 3 receiver, which he became by the end of the year. He knew it. He talked at the end of the season. He even talked before the last home game about, I think this could be my last home game, the final game, the January 5th in Los Angeles. He talked, well, I may be gone. He thanked everybody in the organization, from General Manager John Schneider and Pete Carroll, who brought him in, to Mike McDonald, the current coach, to chefs and gardeners and the PR staff on the team. It seemed pretty obvious he knew that was his last game, and that's because of the financials of this. So they saved $17 million just in this move alone. But Lockett said he wants to play an 11th NFL season. He's only played for the Seahawks since they drafted him in 2015, but he intends to play. I'd look for the Kansas City Chiefs to be in play for him. He's from Tulsa originally, but his family is from Kansas City. His uncle has played for the Kansas City Chiefs. He still lives in the Overland Park area of the Kansas City suburbs. And the Chiefs always seem to find those type of veteran wide receivers that complement what they have in for Patrick Mahomes. And I wouldn't rule out the Las Vegas Raiders now that Pete Carroll is back in the NFL coaching the Raiders as a place that Tyler Lockett could land at somewhat above him, or close to a veteran minimum salary. But Jackson Smith-Njigba's emergence, the situation with DK Metcalf, which we're going to talk about, I'm sure, in a second, that I hate to say they didn't need Tyler Lockett because he's beloved here. He was here for 10 years. He is absolutely loved in that locker room. And he's a really quality person philanthropically and off the field as well. And I enjoyed the heck out of covering him. But a number 3 receiver going into his age 33 year, it just the money and the age and the productivity all didn't add up to keep.
Yeah, let's see where he ends up. Kansas State guy, Tyler Lockett, not going to be with the Seahawks. Greg Bell's on tonight. So the other wide receiver, that's the big news, requesting a trade. That's coming from DK Metcalf. Why?
Well, he doesn't have a ton of leverage, Nate, and this is not the only leverage play he could do. The Seahawks have him under contract for 1 more year. It's the final year of his 3-year, $72 million deal. They can appease a player, a 6-year veteran who's only been with the Seahawks in his NFL career. They traded up in the second round to get him out of Ole Miss months after he was told he'd never play football again because of a neck injury he suffered on a kickoff his final season, college season at Ole Miss. But his production dropped to almost near career low levels this past season, both in targets, receptions. He only had 5 touchdowns in 17 games, far below the productivity of Smith-Njigba, far below the productivity of a player that you could offer a $100 million extension to this coming season. So the Seahawks, if Metcalf asks for a trade, the Seahawks can appease him by saying, okay, we'll try to find suitors. But because they have him still under contract, they can command a huge price for him. He's still only 27 years old. And there aren't a lot of 6'4", 235-pound wide receivers who run 10 flat hundreds and run vertical leap 42 inches. There are a lot of those walking on the earth. And nobody in the NFL has the physical traits to match him, to cover him one-on-one. Nobody. So the entire league covers him with cloud coverage, safety over the top, corner underneath. The field tilts to his side when he's on the field. Every opponent the Seahawks have played for 6 years have done the same thing with what is essentially double coverage, a bracket cloud coverage over the top. But his productivity is such that the Seahawks, they can kind of leverage and negotiate him, and if they wanted to extend him, or maybe he doesn't get the $100 million 3-year deal. But Lockett's only leverage here is to ask for this trade, and it doesn't mean he's going to get traded because, Nate, they can command the world with the fact they still have him under contract.
Does he want to get traded because he thinks the Seahawks are not in contention?
That's the report that an agent leaked to the national NFL reporters. That's how that works. Is the NFL, the agents will say that to put that out. The Seahawks were a 10-win team last year, a 9-win team the year before, but they didn't make the playoffs either year. They haven't made the playoffs 3 of the last 4 years. They have a defensive-minded coach. Metcalf is going on his 3rd offensive coordinator in 3 years. They have a brand new regime that is heavy run with Clint Kubiak coming from the Saints and the Minnesota Vikings and the Mike Shanahan coaching tree of outside zone run. They're going to rededicate to run in Seattle this year. That's not exactly what, in a contract year, Metcalf's going to maximize. You wouldn't think he's going to get 100 catches in an offense that's going to accentuate the run this year, and with what Smith-Njigba has done. It's clear, Nate, through these moves that they're choosing Geno Smith as their big-ticket veteran to re-sign at quarterback, at least for now, over Lockett and or Metcalf. But I say again, I don't rule out the Seahawks re-signing Metcalf this summer because they can afford to ask for the moon, and they won't get a first-round pick for him, but they could ask for a second-round pick, a veteran starter, and if they don't get that from teams, they'll just walk away and play him this year and have him go into his walk year with still the possibility of re-signing him to a long-term deal.
One more for Greg Bell, Seahawks beat writer, thenewstribune.com. How about, like, the Broncos? A lot of Broncos fans around here say, should the Broncos bring in a guy like Metcalf?
Well, Sean Payton would love that kind of a weapon. Again, he's a physical mismatch outside no matter where you put him. Some of the problem the Seahawks have had in utilizing him is he's been somewhat static. He's played outside as mostly an X receiver because his stature is an online split end. They've been talking now for years about moving him around, playing him more in the slot, moving him more in motion before the snap, but they haven't done it with their coordinators. They haven't used that by and large. He's been an X receiver. I could see Sean Payton in that offense doing more of that. There'll be others. The Raiders, now until Pete Carroll's no longer the Raider coach, you can rumor a Raiders' interest in the Seahawk veteran player that Pete Carroll coached. That's the relationship that Carroll has built with all his players. He's a very personal one-on-one coach. He famously took off his shirt to try to jokingly match Metcalf's physique, asking him to take off his shirt at the combine interview months before they drafted him a decade or 6 years ago. And those relationships go a long way. I'd put something like Las Vegas as more of somebody that could potentially bid for him, but again, you're going to have to get a high draft pick. Seattle would listen to a team like Las Vegas because they're at the top of every round. Everyone looks at a first-round pick, or since Las Vegas has the whatever it is, 7th overall pick, whatever it is this year. But it's not just that. It's that the Raiders own that spot throughout every one of the 7 rounds.
Yeah.
So when you trade with a team, you're trading at the top of each round. That's a very attractive trade partner when you have a team that's sticking in the top 7 of every round.
Something to look at, something to keep an eye on. Greg Bell covering it. Find his work, thenewstribune.com, Seahawks writer. Greg, good to have you. I always appreciate it.
You're welcome, Nate. Take care in South Dakota. Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot. Greg Bell on tonight, South Dakota Sports Talk Show, the Seahawks writer from thenewstribune.com, talking DK Metcalf and more. Where are the Seahawks going? Will my Broncos get in the mix? We shall see. Coming back, who's hot and who's not next?
This is the Nate Brown Show.
Stock up and save on the toughest filters in the business during Wix Filters sale days at your local Auto Value Parts store. Not only will you get the best deal of the season on our very best filters, but you'll also find deep discounts on oil, fluids, grease, batteries, and more. Upgrade your filters during Wix Filters sale days at your local Auto Value Parts store. See store for official sale dates. Auto Value. We've got the parts. We've got the smarts.
Fleet Farm's bucket sale is back. You know the drill. Pick up a Fleet Farm 5-gallon bucket for only $3.99. Then save 15% on everything you can fit inside, including clearance. That's right. Any qualifying items you can fit in the bucket are 15% off. So come on in and load up on savings during Fleet Farm's bucket sale. Now through March 5th. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Today on Hey Culligan, buy to save. Here's a text from Devin in Denver. Hey Culligan, I'd love a water softener, but I don't want to pay for it. Devin, I can't help you there, but a Culligan high-efficiency softener can help you save oodles on energy and detergent, so the savings can be even greater than the cost. And I'm getting a mind-blown emoji followed by, yes please. Devin, the savings are already on the way. Let us help you out with a free in-home water test with the local Culligan water expert at Culligan.com.
Here's your Fox Sports Rapid City forecast. A winter weather advisory begins at noon tomorrow and continues until 5 a.m. Friday morning. Lows level off around 25 tonight under cloudy skies, northwesterly winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Chance of snow tomorrow, high temperatures reach up to 33, overcast. 3 to 5 inches of snow tomorrow through tomorrow night. That's your forecast on the Black Hills Sports Station, Fox Sports Rapid City. Right now, 42.
We're bringing Music City to you. Get ready for Nashville Night on March 22nd at the Box Elder Event Center. The concert kicks off at 7 p.m. with the talented Jessica Luby, followed by the high-energy Velvet Rodeo. Put on your boots and get ready to dance. Plus, test your skills on the mechanical bull.
Hold on tight, honey. You got it.
And enjoy Nashville hot chicken sandwiches.
Yeehaw!
Tickets are just $20 in advance or $25 at the door. Get your tickets now at thebox.live. Don't miss out on the country event of the year.
Playoff coverage of high school girls basketball takes place Friday on Fox Sports Rapid City. The Rapid City Stevens Raiders hope to make their 12th straight state tournament appearance as they host the Huron Tigers in a Sodak 16 game Friday at Carroll Tire Gym. Join Dean Gurr and me, Jerome Wickersham, for the pregame show at 5:45, followed by the tip-off at 6. Catch the Raiders and the Tigers in a Sodak 16 AA showdown Friday right here on Fox Sports Rapid City.
Do you have a financial game plan for your life? Hi, this is Lee Cruz, your local trusted New York Life agent here in Rapid City. My passion is helping you put the pieces in place for your family to make sure your game plan is a success. For over 175 years, New York Life has been helping people like yourself take action in securing their future. Don't wait, take action and Google Lee Cruz New York Life or call 605-360-8804. We will work together on putting your family first.
From high school to college to the pros, from Rapid City to Sioux Falls, the Nate Brown Show is South Dakota's sports talk.
All right, let's wrap this thing up tonight. Who's hot and who's not, brought to you by the Pizza Ranch. Every night on the Nate Brown Show, who's hot and who's not, brought to you by the Pizza Ranch. Who's hot category ahead of the Summit League tournament getting started. Grace Larkins in our Who's Hot category, the Summit League Women's Basketball Player of the Year. A no-brainer. Congratulations. One of the all-time great careers at USD for Grace Larkins. In our Pizza Ranch Who's Not tonight, Kansas basketball. My goodness, the Jayhawks, they had a lot of guys back. They were ready to make a run. They have 9 conference losses in the Big 12. That's the most for the program since 1983. Youch. Thanks for listening to The Nate Brown Show. The Nate Brown Show podcast going up right now. See you tomorrow.
It's the geometry teacher who mans the ticket window.